Hello, everyone. My name is Renise Walker, Senior Consultant with the Colorado Workforce Development Council, welcoming you to the November episode of Connect and Collaborate. Really excited today to be talking about apprenticeships. Some of you might have seen the governor declared the entire month of November as Apprenticeship Month. Excited to be joined today by a number of guests who will be talking about what are some of the events, what are some of the initiatives that are happening to support and advance apprenticeships in the state of Colorado. Before we get started with our first guest, just want to give you a few updates. What's happening with the Colorado Workforce Development Council during the month of November. November 20th through the 22nd, Colorado will be hosting the Retail Opportunity Network Conference. Folks from all over the country will be joining us here in Denver to talk about upscaling the frontline retail workforce. Those folks are supported by grants from the Walmart Foundation, who will also be joining us here in Colorado. On November 7th, there will be a post-secondary and workforce readiness symposium hosted on the Western Slope that will bring together K-12 stakeholders as well as some folks in workforce and business to talk about how do we really advance post-secondary and workforce or power opportunities for our K-12 students. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the entire month of November is Apprenticeship Month. And so just yesterday, we celebrated a wonderful event at the Governor's Mansion recognizing Apprenticeship Excellence in 4 different categories. That included the categories of apprentice, mentor, business, and partner in collaboration. So if you haven't already done so, be sure to check out more information about those award winners on the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment website. So with no further ado, I'm really excited to be joined by a colleague and a friend, Brandon McReynolds from the Department of Higher Education, to talk a little bit about apprenticeship expansion in healthcare. Brandon, welcome to Connect and Collaborate. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yes, thank you for having me. I am the Director of Workforce Development at the Colorado Department of Higher Education. And what does that mean? That's a lot of words. What that means is that the department is very much focused on creating opportunities for students of all backgrounds to be able to have work-based learning experiences as part of their degree programs. And so for me right now, what that looks like especially is that the department received a very substantial grant from the U.S. Department of Labor to expand apprenticeships, specifically in healthcare. And so we're partnering with the community college system and others to make that happen. And so that's what I do on a day in and day out basis, and happy to share more.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Really excited to learn more about Colorado Helps. What are the goals of the initiative?
Yes, so as I mentioned, we received it ended up being a $12 million grant from the U.S. Department of Labor. And what that grant is focused on is creating over 5,000 apprentices in the healthcare industry over the next 4 years, so between now and July of 2023. We're really focused on creating pathways into entry-level healthcare positions and occupations, mostly around both in oral health, direct allied health, and direct care. But really, it's not, we have no focus in terms, we have a focus in healthcare, but that can be considered very broadly. And we don't have a cap on the type of occupations that we're looking at. And so as a team, we're really excited in being able to spread this model out and show how apprentices can be a valuable asset for Coloradans, as well as providers and healthcare organizations across the state to be able to bring in a workforce. And so we're excited to do that over the next 4 years, and excited to partner with the community college system to make that happen.
5,000 apprentices in healthcare. Many folks in the higher ed space are familiar with internships, but apprenticeships really are different. How are apprenticeships different?
Yes, so that's a really great point. Yes, there are many different forms of work-based learning across the higher ed. People are used to hearing about co-ops or internships, not as much of apprenticeships. The key to an apprenticeship opportunity here is that a student not only from our program will leave with college credit, because there's college credit attached to our apprenticeship program, but the recognition that they have a credential, a recognized credential through the U.S. Department of Labor as a registered apprenticeship, that then they can go out and get a job with. It's that direct credentialing experience that allows them to leave the end of their training process and immediately be able to walk into a job. And so that's a lot different than an internship or other types of work-based learning opportunities that maybe is done in conjoined with or as part of. But really the opportunity here is for students is they're going to be able to come into one of our programs and be able to, once completed, not only will they have college credit from it, but they're going to have a credential that an employer around the state of Colorado will look at as is ready for them to start working.
And sometimes at the council, we talk about apprenticeships as earn and learn opportunities. Do you anticipate that these apprentices would also receive wages from their employers?
Yes, and so for us, the great opportunity in this model is for us to be able to show that students, we're really hoping to break down barriers. And so what that means for us is not only helping students get the cost of their education and training covered, whether that be through the employer or through other means, but we're really excited about the opportunity of being able to tell students you can gain college credit while getting paid to do so. And so that's what's really exciting about our program. And we recognize that many of these occupations that we'll be working with, and as with a lot of entry-level healthcare, is in high demand. And many of the providers across the state are really excited about stepping up to the opportunity to being able to bring in students of all ages and backgrounds and pay them while they're getting this experience and pay them while they're earning a credential.
The ability to get that credential, the ability to earn money while you're also getting college credit, I'm sure is really a game changer for so many students throughout the state. We know that apprenticeships are also different for the employers themselves. It helps to provide that return on investment, and it helps really to train people with the competencies that they need within their space of employment. But this is a little bit of a change. Why is higher education starting to play in the apprenticeship space at this time?
Yeah, for us, we recognize the economic development benefits that it has for businesses, especially in terms of cost savings. Then we recognize that across our system, our healthcare system, that there's a need for these occupations, and that a lack of supply is impacting the ability for us to provide care around the state. And so as a higher educational institution, we want to be able to empower students to be a part of the solution, as well as be able to set themselves on more of a career trajectory and a career path than just thinking about one job. And so it's our focus to be able to say, yes, let's get you involved and get you into an apprenticeship in medical assisting or a surge tech type role. But we recognize is that many individuals will not stay in that role their entire career. And so for us at higher ed, it's about you're going to part of receiving their college credit for this is your ability to take that and build that into maybe an associate's degree path or another thing, so that you have some ability to take steps in your occupation and career. And in the past, that hasn't been as easy for students to be able to do, is translate work or work-based learning experiences into college credit. And so we want to be able to allow students to pivot in their careers as the economy is changing and as industry shifts. We want to be able to provide that for students and provide an entry door into higher education, whether they decide to do that directly after finishing their apprenticeship or later on. And so in the Department of Higher Education, we're really focused on doing that for students.
I love how you describe it as a pivot, because I know for so many of the folks that I've talked to, they may have had ideas about the careers that they wanted, but didn't always end up in those careers that they imagined. So being able to be flexible and change as time goes on sounds like it's really important for students. Who are some of the businesses that you're working with to make this possible?
Yeah, and so as part of the grant application process, the Department of Labor required for us to go ahead and have a high level of match dollars that we had to raise. And we're really thankful for providers around the state that we were able to engage in that early process, such as Kaiser, Centura, UC Health, and others. I'm sorry, I know I'm missing at least one or two there, but those are we've really been working and focused on those kind of large hospital and system providers. But what we recognize is that really to show the scale of this and our excitement is being able to start working with middle and small size providers around the state. And so we've currently engaged roughly around 50 different healthcare services and providers around the state. And we're really excited about starting to work with them for program development and to being able to show that this can work not just in a large provider or organization, but can work with providers of all sizes. So we're really excited to do that. On that note, I do want to share for those out there, we do have money set aside as part of our program development to be able to work with small organizations and small providers around the state of Colorado. So if you know a healthcare provider out there that has 50 or less employees, we have an ability to be able to help offset the cost for those apprentices. Again, for us to be able to bring this in to the work environments of those providers and organizations that may not have the full means or the ability to scale this. And so we're really working hard to be able to do that. And people who are interested in that, the process will be starting early in 2020 for businesses to be able to get access to those funds if they're a provider or organization that's of smaller scale, which for us is to fund 50 employees or less.
And Brandon, if I'm a smaller business or even a larger business who is hearing this and getting really excited, how do I get involved?
Yes. So for us, we would love for people to reach out. You can reach out to us. You can go to the Colorado Department of Higher Education's website and look up Colorado Helps, and you'll be directed. There's some contact information there. Our email is co.helps@dhe.state.co.us, and you feel free to reach out that way, or you're also welcome to call the Colorado Department of Higher Education, and one of our individuals on my team or myself will get back to you about possibilities regarding partnerships and things of that nature. With that note, it is important for us to be able to say, as part of our team, to be able to do this. Across the state, we have what we call healthcare apprenticeship consultants, and they're based all across Colorado, and to ensure that we're delivering this program for individuals both on the Eastern Plains and on the Western Slope. So this is not a program that's confined to just the I-25 corridor or one part of the state. We're really working hard, and we have individuals in our community college system that are working directly with faculty and staff to be able to bring these programs and opportunities to all Coloradans. And we're really excited about that and what that's going to be able to do for both our urban and rural spaces.
It's really great that you're creating these opportunities across the state. If I'm an apprentice who's not enrolled in a college program, can I still participate in one of these apprenticeships?
Yes, certainly. There will be a growing number we expect kind of in the spring and going to the summer as we begin to programs get developed at the system and at each individual community college. Multiple opportunities to get involved. The way our process works is the way that it would look for applying for any particular job. And so if you're interested in doing one, we're going to create kind of more of a centralized place that you can go and see these opportunities, but it would be just like applying for any other job. So for example, Centura has their site up and working so far, and you're going to hear more about that. But it's an opportunity to be able to go and apply for one of these apprentices. And then from there, if you're hired by the provider, then you will be enrolled in the community college system and get credit for your experience as an apprentice. And so we really tell students to be on the lookout for those. And over the next couple months, the Department of Higher Education, as well as the community college system and our other partners, will be launching out some ways to be able to better connect students to the varying opportunities, especially in their local areas, because we recognize that often it can be difficult, especially in our rural communities, to find opportunities. And so we're really looking forward to be able to provide a centralized place for students to see these experiences, understand the ability to be able to do one or two, and see how they stack in terms of credit. And so we're really looking forward to that.
And Brandon, we'll be sure to post your website and the information you shared with us in the show notes so people can follow up. You also mentioned, though, just creating career pathway opportunities for students and higher ed playing a larger role with making sure students are well connected to the workforce. Can you talk about some of the other things that the Department of Higher Ed is doing this year to make those opportunities real for students?
Yeah, the department is very much focused on an ability to be able to connect the higher educational experience with work. And we recognize that there's value to that in students for them to be able to understand the skills and competencies and the knowledge that they need to have, and how to take that from the classroom, from the great faculty that we have around this state, and apply that. And so we're really working hard at the department. For the first time, the department has a director of industry partnerships, and we're really working hard to be able to both understand how institutions of higher education around the state are working with business and industry, as well as be able to increase opportunities in that space, and being able to say, whether it be in terms of research or hiring or whatever it may be, how can we be able to be a bridge and be able to create that between higher education? And also we're excited, and that's kind of on the workforce front, but we're also excited about the opportunities to be able to connect into our K through 12 system and being able to recognize that more students across our state are getting work-based learning experiences or other type of experiences, and how can they see that and translate that either into a direct higher educational experience upon their graduation, or see that that's something that they can come back to and reuse and see in the value. And so for us at the department, it's about creating those experiences, connecting our work in partnership with groups like the Workforce Development Council, the Department of Labor, and others, and being able to create this synergy around it so that this really works for students, no matter where they may be at on their career path or in their career journey.
Thank you for saying that. I know I've been talking to a growing number of students who literally are telling me stories about graduating from high school and getting their high school diploma on one day that week, and a few days later they're getting an associate's degree from the college. And so seeing that credential attainment happening earlier and more frequently, which is really exciting as well.
Yeah, and we know that students are getting access to experiences of being able to be career aware and understanding of what opportunities there are out there. And so we really want to create this direct connection between the K through 12 system and how can we do that so that students are able to step from one to the other and then see the value and be rewarded for the whether that be the concurrent enrollment work that they've done, an apprenticeship or pre-apprenticeship they did in high school, and how can we see so much value in that in higher education. And so we want to be able to tell students that and encourage students to take those opportunities when they're available to them in high school, and then bring them in. And then decide if they want to go a different path upon leaving graduation, that we're going to see value in that long term. And whether they come back in 2 years, 3 years, or whatever it may be, we'll be there to be able to help guide them in terms of where they're headed in their career and where they are in their career journey, while also seeing value in the work that they've accomplished.
So Brandon, you shared a number of really important steps that the Department of Higher Ed has been taking to really realize all of these opportunities. Imagine 5-10 years down the road, if this work is successful, what will it look like for students and businesses in our state?
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing. I think at the departmental level, again, we are extremely focused on ensuring that students across the state, whether that be at a technical college, a 2-year institution, 4-year, public or private, have opportunities to be able to experience work while they're getting their credential, whether that be a degree or certificate. And so for us, our goal would be in 5 to 10 years that it becomes more of a common experience for students, that students are not saying, well, I got to do an internship or I got to do this. It's more about, oh, tell me about the quality of it. What was that experience like? What did you learn? We really want to create that as a norm thing, that students are ready or are interested to coming into higher education. There's so much value in the classroom experiences across Colorado and all of our systems and institutions. We have great faculty that are doing amazing work. And so now we want to be able to take it to the next level and be able to show students, here's the opportunity, and here's how you're going to be able to apply all of this great knowledge that you've accumulated upon the completion of your credential. And so I think we're really excited about that. So I would say in the next 5 to 10 years, again, we want to ensure that every student has an opportunity to be able to take part in some type of work-based learning experience. And so for us, it's about moving those things together, welding them together as a great opportunity.
Well, and it sounds like for those students who have been working and they're used to working in school, this is really an opportunity to work in a field that's connected to what they're studying. Would you say that's accurate with the direction you're headed?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many different opportunities for students to be able to do, and we know a growing percentage of our students, again, at both 2- and 4-year institutions, more and more students are working while they're going to school. We recognize that for economic reasons and other reasons that our students have. But yes, it's about being able to meet students where they are. That's really a focus of the Department of Higher Ed, to be able to say, we're recognizing that more and more students are needing to work as part of their higher ed experience. So how do we ensure that they're doing work that helps connect to their learning and that will be highly beneficial? And so whether that just be helping them understand the skills and competencies that they're getting in their current job and how that translates into their future career path, or whether that's helping them find a work-based learning experience and opportunity that has a little bit more of a direct connection, is something that we're really excited about and are really looking forward to seeing the acceleration in Colorado.
You heard it here, folks. Multiplying opportunities for students, allowing students to receive credit and earn money while they are working and while they're in college is a way of multiplying those opportunities. So, Brandon, thank you so much for the work that you do, and certainly thank you for joining us today on Connect and Collaborate.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Have a good afternoon.
Thanks.
Welcome back to the second half of our show. We had an exciting first half with Brandon McReynolds at the Department of Higher Education and Employment, and I'm really looking forward to the second half of the show because we get to dive in and hear real stories from a current employer and also a current apprentice. So I want to welcome to the show today Chloe and Abigail. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Abby, can you just start us off by introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit more about who you are.
Yeah, so I work for Centura Health. I'm the manager of talent partnerships, so oversee all things kind of talent pipeline to include our apprenticeship programs. I've been with the organization 5.5 years or so within the talent acquisition and workforce planning space, and roll up under kind of the greater people and culture team.
And Abby, we don't always hear a lot about apprenticeships in the healthcare space. Why did Centura choose this approach?
So a lot of the healthcare occupations are expected to grow by upwards of 20% or so within some of the hard to fill spaces within healthcare. So really wanted to take this approach to not only be able to select and train and give the opportunity to folks that might not have thought of the occupation as an opportunity, but also the apprenticeship program gives us an opportunity to collaborate and work with some of our partners in education to help create a curriculum and a program that's of high quality standard for our program and our associates. So from a quality and training perspective, it really made a lot of sense, and also from meeting workforce demand made a lot of sense as well.
And a lot of times when we think about healthcare, doctors and nurses come to mind. Are there shortages in other areas as well?
Definitely, yes. So there are a lot of occupations within healthcare outside of just physician or nurse, CNAs, medical assistants, pharmacy technicians, sterile processing techs. So there are lots of opportunities in kind of the entry to middle skilled space where apprenticeships make a lot of really great sense and are a perfect opportunity to leap into the healthcare industry to start your career.
So you shared a number of those occupations with us. In addition to apprenticeships, what else is Centura doing to help fill some of those talent gaps?
Yes, so we're always looking at implementing different and innovative strategies to help attract talent. A couple of things that we're doing is really making sure that these opportunities are available to our internal associates and making sure that they have the opportunity to grow and develop and skill and reskill in different areas that interest them. Our goal is really to be an employer for life and an employer for choice. So if you have an opportunity and a want to get into the healthcare field, we want to create an environment where you can continue to learn and develop throughout your career. We're also doing a lot of work within the K-12 and community college and university space to create programs and shadow opportunities for folks to be able to learn more about occupations that they might not have known existed and really connect them with the programs that we've created.
I love that Centura is reaching out to train new people and bring them into healthcare, but also focusing on their own internal culture and really being an employer for life and employer for choice. What a beautiful statement. How have you seen changes to your company culture based on how you're operating as a result of apprenticeships?
Our company culture really has had to embrace kind of training and learning, and it's been a fabulous opportunity for our preceptors and for our organization as a whole to kind of move into that little bit of a shift. The apprenticeship programs really give the opportunity for our preceptors and even clinic leaders to learn something new every day. They have apprentices that are coming into the clinic and or the unit and talking about what they learned in class, and it's really creating a really interesting and fun culture. So yeah.
And you mentioned that that was gradual. Can you give us a sense about how long has Centura been thinking and planning for these programs?
Yes, so we launched our first pilot cohort for medical assisting a little over 2 years ago in July 2017. Our initial cohort was 7 individuals, and since then have increased the medical assistant apprenticeship program to a couple different community colleges along the Front Range with the intention to scale and be able to provide the opportunities to folks in more rural markets. We also have added an additional sterile processing apprenticeship program that launched a few months ago, and we'll be launching a pharmacy tech apprenticeship after the first of the year as well. So we've seen great success with the program and want to be able to continue to expand those opportunities to meet folks throughout our system.
And so you're working outside of the Front Range. For people who are interested in an apprenticeship with Centura, how do they find out more about the opportunities?
Yes, so we actually have all of our opportunities listed on our careers website at www.centura.org/careers. We have all of the apprenticeship programs and application windows, FAQs out on our website, so people can check us out there. And applications for our January cohort are currently open, so they can go ahead and apply.
Can you talk a little bit about the application process? What does it take for a person to complete that?
Sure. So we go through a typical application process online. We have information sessions, interviews with the hiring leaders. So it looks just like you would be interviewing for a position at a company. We are looking for people who are, of course, interested in working in healthcare, want to give back to their communities, believe in the Centura Health mission, and we do require a high school diploma or GED. The apprenticeship programs are typically a condensed format. For example, the program that we created with Arapahoe Community College for the medical assistant program, we took their traditional 18-month program down to 6 months. So it is a very rigorous program, and folks that are college ready are certainly critical to their success and aware of the time commitments that it takes to be successful.
How much time do apprentices typically spend with you each week?
Yeah, so they typically put in 40 to 60 hours per week, just depending on how many hours they're working in the clinic or on the unit. It requires one in-person lab lecture session per week, and they would have to work at least 12 hours in the clinic with 5 to 6 or so hours of online learning. So some apprentices choose to work more than others. It's really flexible depending on their schedule.
Great. And Abby, Centura has really been a leader in this workforce space and looking at your own internal company culture and thinking about it comprehensively in addition to getting apprenticeships started. But for those businesses who are out there and they're saying, that sounds great, but I just need to take a first step, what is your advice to them in terms of how to think about starting an apprenticeship?
I think it's really important to understand your end goal. It's really making sure that you have a system set up for success for both the apprentices and the preceptors, ensuring that you have partners partners that you're working with to create the programs, the didactic, and connect folks to the resources that they need to be successful. Centura Health chose to go the apprenticeship pathway to meet our workforce needs and workforce demands. Healthcare is an industry that is rapidly growing, but also rapidly shifting. So I would say that organizations, if they want to take that first step, it's really making sure that they have those support mechanisms in place to make sure that that apprentice is successful.
So you heard it from Abby at Centura Health. If you want to get started in your business thinking about apprenticeships, start with the end in mind. You want to begin with that goal and allow that to drive the rest of the work that you're doing, so that you're ensuring those systems are in place for both your employees and also the apprentices to be successful, and also be thinking about partners. How can you connect with other resources and collaborate with others to make that happen?
Yep.
Abby, thank you so much for sharing that. I want to turn now to Chloe and hear a little bit more about your experience as an apprentice. Chloe, tell us about yourself and where are you apprenticing currently?
I am a 35-year-old single mother who had to start rebuilding quick and fast. And the apprenticeship program I'm in just made a doorway for me to be able to start doing that. Right now I'm working at Hercules Industries, a sheet metal manufacturing company, and I absolutely love it. They take great care of me.
Sheet metal working, that's not always the occupation that we hear connected to women. How did you find yourself in this apprenticeship?
Well, when I first moved back to Colorado, I applied for state assistance, and through them, I was put in a Work Now program who connected me with Colorado Connections. And through Colorado Connections, I went through a broad overview of construction, and they had a speaker come in and speak about sheet metal, and she was awesome. And that just got me excited because I'm very right-brain creative, and she was making it very clear how sheet metal, you can make anything, art, anything. And she referenced DIA, how she got to work on a lot of the artwork there, and that sparked my interest. So I got in touch with the principal at Colorado Sheet Metal and met up with them, and the rest is history.
And you mentioned kind of reinventing yourself, and this was a moment to rebuild. And in honor of that work, you were just recognized yesterday at the Governor's Mansion for the Apprenticeship Excellence event.
Yeah.
For those of us that don't know you as well, Chloe, what stands out about you as an apprentice?
I believe I bring smiles and shine to the sheet metal industry. It's dominated by men, and we have women in our union, but there's not a lot of us. And sometimes people tend to adopt what they're in and what they're around. And I came in just with a whole different perspective on hard work. You know, the hard work part of it was the side note. It was more of the learning that keeps me excited. Every class, every project is new for me, so I still got that spark.
And tell us more. What are some of the things that you're learning as an apprentice?
I am learning welding, servicing. The company I work for specializes in HVAC, and I'm learning how to build ductwork, specialized ductwork. It's not just rectangles and squares sometimes. So to be able to, I'm learning how to look at blueprints and format and draft. I can also, if I so choose, learn how to test and balance, learn how to design. And the apprenticeship I'm in, it allows me, it doesn't matter what class I'm currently taking. Once I'm finished with that, I'm welcome to take any other class with no fee on my behalf.
I may have to give you a call to get some lessons. I admire so much people who are just able to create things and envision that before they create it. Can you tell us more about how does this fit in with your long-term career goals?
Well, long-term, I want to be a business owner. I don't want to just be a foreman or a journeywoman. I want to be a business owner, one who is able to do specialized projects where it's a lot more geared towards the art side of things, and not so much just HVAC, because when a lot of people talk about sheet metal, it's usually in relation to HVAC. But I want to be able to broaden that and make it more accessible.
Chloe, you shared with us that you're a mom.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your kids and how you imagine that this experience will make a difference for their lives?
My son, he is 3, and I'm glad I'm starting now because even now in my second year apprenticeship, I'm able to provide medical for him. I'm able to provide, so I put into a college fund. There's so many benefits that I won't have to worry about when I get old. It sets him up a lot faster and more substantial than it would be working a 9-to-5.
And the medical and the college benefits, are those benefits from your employer, Hercules?
It's actually through our union.
Okay.
I'm with Smart 9, which is the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers.
Wow.
So through the union I'm with, they have provided us with a wonderful package that I'm excited to just keep pouring into for him.
Nice. And on the first half of the show, we talked a little bit about the difference between apprenticeships and internships or other forms of training. Had you had exposure to internships or other types of job training? And if so, how would you compare that to your current experience?
I did not have an internship, but I was in education for almost 9 years. And depending on what position I was going for, I could take certain classes and get certified to do that, job counseling, things like that. But there was no real benefit financially or benefits package that went along with that. And after that 8.5 years, I really didn't have much to show except that para account. With apprenticeship work, I truly believe that had I known then what I know now, I would have definitely gone with the apprenticeship, because not only am I learning on where it's not coming out of my own pocket, but I'm also making money while I'm in the classroom. I'm learning in the classroom as well as in a shop. And then not just in the shop, they make sure I have a job that is in conjunction with what I'm learning.
If I knew now.
Right.
Back then, it would be such a different world. For those who are hearing about apprenticeships now and trying to kind of plot their career journey, what would your advice be? What does it take to succeed as an apprentice?
I believe to succeed in apprenticeship, whatever it takes to succeed in anything, initiative, to be ready to do what is required, you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. And a lot of young people, I'm speaking to young people too, because a lot of high school children or teenagers aren't wanting to go to a 4-year college. That same, I want to do something, I just don't know what, is what it takes. And then that tough skin, just, not easily broken, because you're learning something new. To just make your first step, at least you can say you tried.
So taking that first step and being persistent, sticking with it is what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah.
I just love the idea, Abby, you shared earlier that apprentices are helping your company to fill some of those gaps, but also helping to shape your culture. And Chloe, your apprenticeship has helped you in different ways to kind of reinvent or reimagine what you might do with the rest of your time. Would you all say that you've had any surprises just about apprenticeships or things that you've learned in the creation of these opportunities that you would want to share with others?
The surprise to me was that I could, after I graduate, come back and further whatever area I wanted to be further educated in, and it not be an issue. As well as I was surprised, not to say that, most people are unapproachable, but I was surprised at how welcoming the apprenticeships leaders are, how willing and ready they are to pretty much hold your hand, and walk you through step 1, step 2, step 3. I was very surprised that, okay, I'm ready to do the footwork, but you're telling me where to put my foot. So it made it a lot easier. That was a little bit of a surprise.
I would say at Centura Health, one of the biggest surprises that we saw was just the impact that it makes on all the people around, not just the apprentice, but me and my team within human resources, just being able to see the impact that the apprenticeship makes on you know, the workforce in general, their lives, the lives of the patients that they touch, the preceptors, the educators, we're all learning and coming together and learning together. So just the impact has been really incredible to see.
Impact. I can't think of a better way to close out our conversation today, except for to say thank you for both of you ladies for coming and sharing your story and telling us more about apprenticeships. For those who want to learn more, Abby, I know that you shared a website, and we'll make sure to capture that in the show notes, but centura.org/careers, and they can go to the training programs tab to learn more about the apprenticeships that you're recruiting for in January. And you can also learn more about Chloe and the Apprenticeship Awards. We will link to that, the Department of Labor and Employment's website, for those who want to hear more about the stories of the other apprentices and employers that are being recognized this month. And just for a listing of other events that are happening throughout the month of November on apprenticeships, you'll find those in our show notes as well. But ladies, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for the work that you're doing with apprenticeships in Colorado.
Thank you for having us.